a minute. Was Andrew McCarthy part of the Brat Pack? He was known more for he was known for St. Elmo's Party, Pretty in Pink.
St. Elmo's Party. What is it, like a
St. Elmo's Fire?
Is that a porn parody? What is that?
Right.
Remember when we first met John McClane? Argyle picked him up from the plane and took him down the Nakatomi Tower at the Christmas party. And the terrorists were overzealous, but it was sweet when they killed Ellis. And with a little help from Alan, John McClane kicked ass.
Welcome back to Shat The Movies, the podcast where we answer the question, were the movies we love and growing up really that good? Have you ever caught yourself thinking, why don't they make movies like they used to? Can you still remember spending your Friday night searching for the perfect movie rental at Blockbuster Video? Do you even remember what Blockbuster Video was? If you answered yes, and this is the podcast for you, I am one of your 3 hosts, Roger Roeper, and alongside me are my 2 co-hosts, Big D, Dick Ebert.
Good evening.
And Kerri, Tawny Gross.
Never been better.
And each week we take a look back in time and decide if our favorite films still hold up. Each week, the audience selects from 6 movie choices that we then break out a race car VHS tape rewinder and watch the movie that tallied the highest number of votes. And at the end of each podcast, the 3 of us will provide you, the audience, with a number of wipes each movie would take to get off your respective butts. So thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and share with a friend. It's how we help the podcast grow. And you can also check out our sister podcast, Shat on TV, where we review television series such as Westworld, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, and now True Detective. You can check out all the information on our website, shatontv.com. That being said, Big D, what movie are we doing this episode?
Well, this one is a special commission podcast from one of our listeners, Christian. And since Christian picked this movie specifically for you, Roger, he said, I want to make Roger happy. I want to hear him just giggle with delight. I'm going to let you announce the movie.
Well, I think it's no secret that I love these types of movies, and Christian is my favorite listener of all time because he commissioned, I think this movie was part of the category of Roger's favorite films, and I think he just fast-tracked it. The movie is Weekend at Bernie's, and I'm so happy he commissioned it. So thank you so much, Christian.
Christian actually even wrote in his thoughts, and he wanted to share it with us.
Yeah, so this is the note. So this is Christian writing in. He said, since I was born in 93, I was still a twinkle in my father's eye when this movie was released. So who do I have to thank for my first Weekend at Bernie's exposure? The wonderful world of Pizza Hut. That's right. The terrible pizza chain got the ball rolling for my love of the film in the early 2000s. I remember Pizza Hut offering a promo on television for their pizza and movie night where you got a large pizza and it came with your choice of one of 3 DVDs, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, Weekend at Bernie's, and I don't remember the third film that they offered. Now, you have to remember, at the time, DVDs were the hot new thing, and it was a cool idea to introduce people to them. I saw this promo on TV dozens of times, and for whatever reason, Weekend at Bernie's was the one that stood out to me. It could have been the cool, wacky font on the movie poster, or maybe it was my love of warm beaches and bikinis, but I begged my parents for Weekend at Bernie's. Weekend at Bernie's. I remember loving the movie and never eating Pizza Hut garbage pizza ever again. Worst pizza chain ever. However, the sad part was that the DVD was good for only 2 or 3 uses. After watching it a few times, the disc stopped working, and I was heartbroken. I then totally forgot about the movie until years later when I caught it on television and then immediately bought it on DVD. I love to watch it before going on vacation to get that tropical party feeling before getting wasted at a resort. This movie is so popular amongst me and my friends, and we love to frequent the Toronto rave scene. And whenever our friends passes out from either drugs or alcohol, we pull a Weekend at Bernie's and prop them up between 2 people so security does not boot them out. Now, Weekend at Bernie's is no way a great film. However, I myself would give it at least 3 wipes. It is a guilty pleasure of mine among the goofy movies of the 80s, and it holds a lot of nostalgia for me personally. Most of the physical comedy is great, especially with Larry and Bernie on the patio playing Monopoly. Andrew McCarthy and Jonathan Silverman have a great chemistry, and props to Terry Kaiser for going through all of this and keeping a deadpan face. I imagine it was very fun for them to make this movie. How many takes must have gone through, or just cracking up laughing when they try to be serious and get good takes. I hope you guys enjoyed the pick. My condolences to Roger. and keep up the great entertainment. Love the podcast, and I will commission another film as soon as possible. This, of course, comes from Christian DeLeo. Again, I've always made the statement, and I believe it's true, Canadians are consistently the best people on the planet.
I will have to say that his email was more entertaining and more enjoyable than actually watching the film. But also, I'm going to keep my eyes peeled out at the Goodwill thrifting that I do, and I'm going to find Christian a VHS copy of Weekend at Bernie's to replace his Pizza Hut DVD.
Yeah, make sure it's a quality DVD that you can play more than twice. But do we not notice a correlation between a junk pizza, junk food, shitty pizza, and a shitty movie? Let's go back to that year that this movie came out. You didn't see Pizza Hut giving you Batman or Indiana Jones and Last Crusade, no Roadhouse, no Dead Poets Society, no Christmas Vacation. They had to give us the equivalent of their cardboard pizza, and that was Weekend at Bernie's.
No. I don't think. I think you misunderstood. This is the 2000s when Pizza Hut is doing this. So the movie came out in '89. The DVD giveaway at Pizza Hut didn't occur till the 2000s.
Right. But I'm saying you couldn't have picked any other movie. They had to find one that just nobody had any interest in.
Listen, here's the deal. Pizza Hut was like, listen, we want to do this giveaway, but we want to do it on the cheap. What movies can we get that are bargain basement?
Yeah.
They got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Secret of the Ooze, Weekend at Bernie's, which is, in my opinion, classic, and then some other movie you couldn't remember.
Where was Gleaming the Cube?
I was just going to say that.
It was probably Gleaming the Cube. It was probably, that probably makes sense.
It's free advertisement.
Yeah.
If I was Pizza Hut, I would give away that movie every year. 100%. Didn't matter what, I would just give it away.
I think that there's some idea in here that maybe like Netflix or Hulu should team up with Uber Eats, and when they release certain films, you should get a discounted
like a
delivery.
Digital code.
Yeah.
Listen, I got to tell you something. I tried to look for this film. I tried to get this film pirated. I tried to get it renting. It's not available on Amazon or Netflix or Hulu or any of the normal distribution channels that you would expect an old movie to be. The only way you could get this was signing up on Cinemax or buying it for $13.99. So I spent money on this movie, which, I guess Christian's $100 helps.
You could have logged into Kerri's Plex account.
Trying to be a good citizen in 2019.
Yeah, it's the last $7 that Andrew McCarthy's made.
Weekend at Bernie's is a 1989 American black comedy film directed by Ted Kotcheff and written by Robert Klein. The film stars Andrew McCarthy and Jonathan Silverman as young insurance corporation employees who discover their boss, Bernie, dead. While attempting to convince people that Bernie is still alive, they discover that Bernie had ordered their deaths to cover up his embezzlement. It received mixed critical response, but was a financial success, grossing over $30 million on a $15 million budget. The film's success inspired a sequel, Weekend at Bernie's 2, which came out 4 years later in 1993. We always ask the question, what are your memories of this movie? We'll start with you, Big D.
So I have no idea where I was. This was released the 4th of July weekend in 1989. So I was 16 years old at that time, and there was 1,000 things that I would rather be doing than watching Weekend at Bernie's.
But you've seen this movie before.
Unfortunately, yes. I don't know when, other than yesterday.
Okay.
And I won't watch it again.
Kerri, how many times have you seen this movie? And when was your first time?
Oh, man, I can't remember the first time. I remember I was very young. So I think I've seen it several times over the past, 30 years it's been out. But all I can say is that when I started it a few nights ago, that up until the first scene where they show Bernie, my memory was that it was Burt Reynolds. I was seriously shocked that Bernie was not Burt Reynolds. I would have bet my life on it. And I think this is exactly why humans can't make reliable eyewitness testimonies. I was blown away it was not Burt Reynolds.
So you would have testified in court?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Kerri falls prey to the, do you ever see the old school masks or disguises that superheroes would wear, where they'd put on the glasses and the big nose and the mustache, and then people wouldn't recognize him. That's the kind of disguise that would fool someone like Kerri, because she sees a mustache and she just assumes, oh, that must be Burt Reynolds.
Yes.
Yeah, the actor Terry Kaiser comes on, and I'm like, who the fuck is that guy? Where's Burt Reynolds? And then I was like, that's Bernie? What the? My brain was like, boom.
When Gene had his
Burt Reynolds.
When Gene had his mustache for December, Kerri went around saying, I'm hanging out with Burt Reynolds today. I'm dating Burt Reynolds, right? That's right. The first time I watched this was with my father and my first stepmother one summer. I loved it. I laughed hard. It's been a guilty pleasure of mine for a long, long time. I still laugh out loud, and I love this movie, guys. It's wonderful. I think I was 10 when I first saw this movie.
My best friend has a little toy poodle, and he has one. You'll like this because you like to dress your dogs up. He has one little outfit, and it's like a safari shirt, like a floral safari shirt, and his name is fucking Bernie. He's so cute.
I gotta say, you guys think I dress up my dogs a lot. I really don't. They're naked most of the time. They get dressed 2 times a year, on Halloween and for Christmas, and that's strictly for photos.
Yeah. I've seen your dogs twice in my life, and one time they showed up dressed in matching, like Christmas Santa's Little Helpers outfit, looking at me with their dead eyes like, please take this off me.
When you dropped him off to Gene's house while you're out of town for the holidays, he's like, he packed a bag of all of their things, and there's like Christmas outfits in here. Does he expect me to put these on him?
Well, he was doing the Christmas video.
I know, and he did forget to put them on.
Yeah. I put him in there for the video. That being said, Big D, play the trailer.
Don't you see, we just uncovered a $2 million error. We're going to be heroes. We're going up the corporate ladder. It appears as if somebody's trying to defraud the company.
Somebody tried to smoke it past the wrong guy.
Very, very good work. How would you two like to come to my house at the beach?
Love to!
For Larry and Richard,
How are you?
this is a place to die for.
You have to kill them, Vito.
I'm a little rusty, but it'll come back to me.
What, should we just walk in?
But what they don't realize
No, we'll stand out here on weekend. Come on, we're house guests.
is while they're checking in,
Forget the accident with the 2 guys. Take care of Lomax.
Bernie Lomax will be checking out.
Oh, my God. What kind of a host invites you to his house for the weekend and dies on you?
I don't know.
Lomax told whoever he's talking to not to kill us if he's around, right?
Yeah, but Lomax is dead. He's not around anybody anymore.
I know that. You know that. Nobody else knows that. Huh?
Oh!
Where's Bernie? It looks good enough. Let's go.
Uh-oh. Larry.
What? Huh?
Really?
Hi, Bernie. Hey, Bernie, just like last week, huh?
Oh, Bernie, you animal, you are insatiable.
Doesn't anyone realize he's dead?
Hold the boat! Got him? Hold the boat!
Vito, I'm telling you, Lomax is alive. Maybe Paulie is rustier than we thought.
Ooh, Bernie, you're starting to peel. What did you out of the sun, huh?
Oh, is that the killer?
How do I know, Richard? Should I stop and ask him?
No, just drive.
Serpentine! Did you hear something? What is that? It's just Bernie!
Weekend at Bernie's.
Are we doing it again today?
Oh, absolutely. You know we are.
Great, we'll see you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, ladies. We'll see you later. God, is this great or what?
Larry Wilson, played by Andrew McCarthy, and Richard Parker, played by Jonathan Silverman, are 2 low-level financial employees at an insurance corporation in New York City. While going over actuarial reports, Richard discovers a series of payments made for the same death. Richard and Larry take their findings to the CEO, Bernie Lomax, played by Terry Kaiser, who applauds them for discovering insurance fraud and invites them to his Hamptons Island beach house for the Labor Day weekend. Unbeknownst to Larry and Richard, Bernie is behind the fraud, and nervously meeting with his mob partner Vito, Bernie asks to have Larry and Richard killed However, after Bernie leaves, Vito decides Bernie has been attracting too much attention with his greed and his relationship with Vito's girlfriend, Tina, and he orders that Bernie be killed instead.
Right off the bat, I like Larry and Richard. Larry's played by Andrew McCarthy, which you might recognize him from Pretty in Pink, Less Than Zero, Mannequin. I definitely had a crush on him as I was growing up. And then Richard, Jonathan Silverman, we were discussing, remember Big D last week, we were discussing, name the last movie that depicts, what did we say, desecration of a dead body as part of the plot. And King B had said Death Becomes Her. He actually was in Death Becomes Her. So his two well-known movies are having to do with dead bodies. But a little caveat that only I would probably notice is that both of them go on to star in several episodes of Law and Order.
Wait a minute. Wasn't Andrew McCarthy part of the Brat Pack? He was known more for he was known for St. Elmo's Party, Pretty in Pink.
St. Elmo's Party? What is it, like a
St. Elmo's Fire?
Is that a porn parody? What is that?
Right. Well, guys, up until we started doing the podcast, I thought the porn versions were the originals.
Well, I swear, I thought that Andrew McCarthy, he looked like and acted just like a young David Spade. David Spade,
you're crazy.
How this is not a bigger controversy in Hollywood.
What are you talking about?
He's walking around like, hey, I'm walking here. He's got his sunglasses around his neck. He's playing a dick. Young Anthony McCarthy is...
I don't think you've ever seen a David Spade movie.
I have. Yes.
In an alternative universe, there's actually a Weekend at Bernie's that's played by Burt Reynolds and David Spade.
Yes.
It's in the same dimension where Sinbad plays a genie.
But I want to live in that universe and not this one. And this movie, I don't want to tear it apart just because I know you love it, Roger. I'm going to be fair to it, but you also have to be fair. On most podcasts that we do, one of your big gripes, like in The Goonies or a lot of 80s movies, they will have a theme song that explains to you part of the plot. And you always go, oh, this is just terrible. This is just so hammy and tropey. You better be fair and you better be consistent, because I'll tell you, when the opening scene comes on and it's a heat wave in New York and everybody's sweaty and we start to hear...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just like Christian, you get in an island mood. Like you're ready to go out and party. You're ready to go to Toronto rave scenes and prop up your friends when they pass out on drugs and alcohol. That's the kind of music I want to hear when I'm getting in that kind of mood.
No, I want to hear that when I'm going to Bahama Breeze to get their coconut shrimp, because that is delicious. Delicious.
Yeah, coconut onion rings.
I have a rule. If a song has steel drum in it, it's fucking sucks.
You're terrible. Wait a minute.
Hold on.
So you're never gonna go to Jamaica?
I mean, I can go without enjoying the music, but normally the steel drum music we're hearing in these 80s movies are gentrified by white people.
Oh, God.
I agree. That was my biggest problem with True Romance.
So hold on, Kerri. I'm going to put your little theory to the test because I'm prepared for you. You ready? Ooh, that's drama. What's going on? Listen. What do you think?
What is this?
Either that's Predator 2 or True Romance.
No, you clown. That's Commando. Come on.
Or Commando. That's it. Commando, not Predator 2.
Still
Commando.
don't like it.
No, the issue here is that Some Like It Hot is great. It establishes the playfulness of this movie, and it doesn't go on forever. What they do is they give little bite-sized pieces of the song throughout the film, unlike in Goonies, where there was some sort of cross-promotion synergy happening between MTV and the movie studio, where they're like, hey, what if we played the entire Cyndi Lauper song for 5 minutes in the opening scene? Even though the music had nothing to do with the movie, they just really wanted to cross promote that music video of the Goonies and Cyndi Lauper. That's the problem that I had with Goonies. With this one, I think it does a better job than I'm Your Weatherman with Groundhog Day, but both are spectacular movies, so maybe it just works.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to test your theory, Raj. Whenever I feel like the podcast today is kind of lagging, like maybe we're not, we're not hitting our stride, I'm just going to throw in, and we'll see if it spices up the podcast.
Yeah, I'm already spicy.
Yeah. So be prepared.
I'm the spiciest I've been in a while.
I'll take that over AC/DC.
No.
Yeah, see?
Oh, wait. Hold on. Kerri, we've played that far too many times. Yeah. Fuck yes.
Whenever this song comes on, I feel like I just need a shotgun of beer.
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
It takes me back to like community college, shotgunning beers.
Yeah.
Speaking of AC/DC, did you guys catch because there is a heat wave that's going on in New York, and when Richard and Larry show up to work during the heat wave, there's those two guys wearing a full suit jacket, dress, socks, pant.
They're like
socks,
they're dress capris.
Yeah, they're wearing shorts like Angus would in AC/DC. But like I love the opening of this movie because I think they did a very effective job of establishing the characters of Richard and Larry. Richard is obviously a little bit more buttoned up, a little bit more career oriented. Larry's his best friend. He's kind of a slacker. He just wants to have fun. They're both in their young 20s. I thought they did an effective job of doing that without going kind of over the top on this. But like Big D, you grew up in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Do the summers really get that hot in New York City? And if so, is the New York City experience during the summer all rooftop beaches and fire hose water parks?
Well, yeah, New York in the summer, I think the heat is the worst because of the humidity. In Florida, it's hot during the day, but then it rains and it cools down. In New York, you can just walk out of your front door and the humidity, you're going to be soaking wet before you just turn the corner. So it's a different kind of heat. It's hot as fuck, especially in the city, just the sun beating down the pavement. But like is there really melting tar on rooftops? Oh God, that gave me flashbacks. I spent a summer in college trying to make some extra money, swinging a hot mop and doing hot tar roofs out in the Hamptons. It was the worst summer of my life. So yeah, it's bad.
But this is how I imagined corporate life was going to be growing up. I imagined that I'd go to an office somewhere in a big city. I'd work in some sort of analyst position. And then there would be my smarmy rich boss that was probably embezzling. Like, this is how I imagine corporate life would be. And it really isn't that far off. Like, I've had bosses in my life who are complete assholes, have, drug problems, and might have one time in their lives worked for the mob. So I found this to be a very accurate depiction of American corporation life, culture.
You work in a company like this?
No, I'm saying I used to.
You walk around to your coworkers and go, my aunt's sick.
Yeah. Well, when I'm trying to hit on them.
Yeah, I can picture. No, yeah. This is a nondescript office with a nondescript job title. It is, but you know what? It's par for the course of the movie. I don't know why they spent all the time in the beginning where one of them has to wait for the other one on the street corner to then go to work. He's not giving him a ride. We didn't need all that shit in the beginning. Just have them sitting in the office on a Saturday. They're complaining. Why are we here? Let's go to the rooftop. I've just saved you 10 minutes.
Yeah, but you see, you need to establish, number one, that it's hot in the city. And because you spent all this money on a movie theme song, Some Like It Hot, where are you going to play that if you only start on rooftop?
Yeah, here's a crazy idea. While they're sitting there with their feet in the kiddie pool and the melting tar, it comes on the radio.
Yeah, but then you need to establish that Larry lives in his little apartment by himself. Richard still lives at home. Richard dresses up. Larry dresses in shorts. It's a simple movie. And however, for a simple movie, yes, it does have a complex plot to get into how Bernie dies. Like, I think some people forget because they only remember Bernie dead. The first 30 minutes of this movie, Bernie's alive, and they're talking about all this insurance jargon. Did you understand what was going on and how he was embezzling money?
Are you high? Okay, look,
no.
I understand now why Heat was too much for you. I got you.
How dare you?
And why you said it's a simple movie. I'm not an actuary. I don't work in insurance. I don't have any life insurance outside of what my company provides. What he did was there was a client who died. They said, well, look, there's 4 policies on this person's name. Oh, that's the answer. And then he says, well, Bernie, 3 of them were written after the person died. So the person dies. Bernie then writes 3 additional policies on the dead person, and he cashes them out.
I think it's more complex than that because
no, it's not. No, it's not.
I think it's a little bit more complex than that.
I can't imagine the writer sitting down writing a movie about animating a dead body being like, we need to really delve into the plot behind the idea behind this insurance fraud, and spent hours.
They try. I'm telling you, they consulted someone in the insurance industry to make it seem, because that's what this movie does. I thought it did an effective job of making a silly concept, like we're going to reanimate our dead boss in our wild weekend out in the Hamptons. They did a pretty effective job of trying to fill in some of the plot holes by giving a reasonable decision. The things that I didn't understand, though, were, why do you go straight to the CEO? There's got to be some sort of checks and balances in this company, right? Like you would go to your boss or you would go to maybe a senior executive. They go straight to Lomax.
You know, Flo in those insurance commercials with the make your own price tool? That's more complex than the plot of this movie.
You're crazy. You're ridiculous. However, when Richard's out on the date with Glenn and he brings her back to her parents.
He's out with Glenn?
Gwen. When Richard's out on a date with Gwen and he takes her back to his house, his parents' house where he lives. That's the best part of the movie. I think that's the funniest part of the movie, when they're making out on the couch and then the dad comes in and Gwen's like, Richard, there's this man in his underwear in your house. He's like, no, shh, it's my butler. Shh, don't say anything. And he's like, oh. Dad's like, oh, I didn't know you had company. How are you, young lady? And he's like, very, very well, very well. Go and lay out my suit for the day. He's like, how about I come over there and lay you out? That was the best, most comedic part of the movie. I thought it was great. This movie has a lot of little moments like that.
So, Kerri, I was on the phone with Roger early this afternoon, and I couldn't honestly believe. I said, is this a shtick? Do you actually like these movies? Is this real? And he assured me it is. And watching the glee on his face, I feel like it's Simple Jack. Like, you know, he's going full Simple Jack. He really loves this. I thought it was an act for so long.
I think it's great.
You're so cute now. I'm sorry I was ever mean to you. You're like in Game of Thrones. You're like crushing the Beatles with the rocks. You're just womp womp. That's you, Roger.
You're crazy.
So what movie do we have to commission to get you giddy, Big D? Did you get it with Armageddon?
No, because Roger and Gene were just shitting all over it. They ruined it.
It's a bad movie. That's why.
Yeah, it didn't have a complex plot like buying an insurance policy after the guy's already died.
I think it's slightly more complex than that. The writers tried to do an effective job.
If you're in insurance and you're listening to this, please write and tell us if I'm wrong.
Right. Bernie arrives at the island before Larry and Richard and plans the murders with Paulie, the hitman, on the phone, unaware that the conversation is being recorded on his answering machine. Bernie then plants Cash in a fake confession note implicating Larry and Richard in the insurance fraud. Paulie arrives, killing Bernie with a drug overdose. And when Larry and Richard arrive at Bernie's house, they find Bernie's body. Before they can call the police, guests arrive for a party that Bernie used to host every weekend, and to Larry and Richard's amazement, the guests are too engrossed in their partying to notice he is dead, with the dopey grin from the fatal injection and his sunglasses concealing his lifeless state. Fearing implication in Bernie's death and wanting to enjoy the luxury of the house for the weekend, Larry proposes that he and Richard maintain the illusion that Bernie is still alive, a notion that Richard finds absurd. Only the arrival of Richard's office crush, Gwen Saunders, played by Catherine Mary Stewart, a summer intern for the company, convinces him to go along with Larry's plan.
So Gwen, you were talking earlier about Richard taking Gwen home. She's played by Catherine Mary Stewart, who is in Night of the Comet, which I don't know if you guys ever seen that, but that's one of my favorite 80s movies. And when I clicked on her IMDb, I found out a little tidbit of information that Raj and the King Bee might enjoy, that she must, I don't know exactly what she does, but Red Dead Redemption 2 is on her list of credits. So I don't know if she's a voiceover for a character on that, but she's come a long way into video games.
Yeah. I mean, she was also in another movie we've done about video games on the podcast, The Last Starfighter.
Yeah, I think Roger's too busy. He's petting his horse to pay attention to any of the voiceovers.
What are you talking about? No, I don't.
You're brushing your horse, so he trusts you.
First of all, you have to gain a connection with your horse, and you have to bond with your horse because, you know, back in the late 19th century, that was the main form of transportation, even though there were streetcars and things like that in the big cities. When you were out west, when you're an outlaw, you had to form a strong bond. And in order to do that, in a realistic simulator like Red Dead Redemption 2, you have to brush your horse and you have to feed him and you have to take care of him.
What's your horse's name?
Biscuit. She plays the character of Moira in Red Dead Redemption 2.
So Richard lies about living at home, you know, saying that his dad was his butler. Have either of you guys lied to anyone that you were dating or had just met to seem more appealing to them?
Never. Never. I haven't.
You're just such a lie. You're crazy.
Never. Why?
You've never stretched the truth.
Never stretched the truth. I admitted on a podcast that I had sex with a married woman while her husband was on the phone with her. So I'm not doing it to make myself look good. I just never have. Never.
You've never stretched to make yourself seem a little bit more appealing.
Never. Not once. No.
Really?
No. I can't think of one situation. I can think of I'm not trying to portray like I'm like a white knight here. I'm this honorable guy. I've done shitty things. But that's one thing. Why? You're going to get caught in it eventually. If you can't do it on your own, no. I'm not gonna, well, I'm a doctor. Well, my Porsche's in the fucking mechanic shop. What the fuck am I going to say? It's stupid.
I don't think I've ever done it either. I don't think, because I've always been afraid that I would.
No,
I swear to God, I've never.
You're full of shit.
What are you talking about?
So full of shit.
No, I have never lied. Not about something like that. Like I live at home with my parents or anything like that. No. That's silly. I'm with you.
You're so full of shit. You're just lucky I haven't thought about it longer, because I would have examples here.
You're crazy.
Yeah.
You're crazy. There's been situations, and I'm not proud of it, and this is probably what Big D would nail me on if he ever pulled up some past. But there have been times where I've been dating multiple girls that didn't know about each other. I'm not proud of it. It was in my past.
Oh, so right there's your lie. Oh, I'm single.
Yeah, that's probably it. But I mean, that's like, you know, I'm not saying it's right, but it's not anything crazy fun. Like, oh, I brought a girl home to my parents' house, and you know, here's the one thing I did happen. I was dating a girl who lived at home with her parents, and I'm in my mid 20s. I was 25 at the time. I was 26. Big D, you remember as Stephanie?
I do.
No, actually, I was 24. I was 24 because I was right out of college. And she lived at home. She had never had a boyfriend before. And she lived in a 3-bedroom apartment. It was her parents, her twin sister, and then her 2 other sisters. So small apartment, big family. And we would go out on dates. And then our move was we'd go back to her place. We'd make out quietly on the living room floor. But like her father comes out. And I think we were doing under the shirt activities when it happened, and I was never more embarrassed in my entire life. And I was like, listen, I can't, I'm 25, 24 years old. I can't be doing this. This is ridiculous. So we moved into the parking lot where we would like make out in the car. It was such a high school relationship. I really feel bad. Beautiful woman, great girl. I really did a terrible job to her as a boyfriend. And Stephanie, if you're listening to this anywhere, she's married now. I apologize for being a jerk.
Yeah, we all dodged bullets growing up.
So you're saying I'm the bullet?
Yes.
In this scenario.
Yes,
yeah. Have you ever had some guy lie to you to get your attention, Kerri?
Yes.
Did you marry him?
That's enough said. I don't think you need to go any more into that.
Yes.
But Kerri, I got a question for you. You know, people always make fun of us because I'll talk about the military, you talk about the nursing thing. I need to ask, I've never seen an assassination like this. At least they don't come in and shoot him. He gives him a shot. Is there any way it could act this quickly unless it was some kind of sedative?
I have no idea what it could have been, because here's a little game that me and my nursing friends play when it's real slow at work. How could you kill somebody without getting caught? Like, what medication would you give them? And there's actually there was a show on Netflix called Nurses Who Kill. Not that I'm like, sociopath, psychopath wanting to kill people, but there are medications that nurses have access to or hospital staff has access to that would be almost impossible to trace. Like if you injected somebody with them. But nothing would work this fast, and especially the way that they gave it to him. It was like a shot in the butt. So that's an intramuscular shot. That would take minutes to metabolize. And so I have no idea what it could have been. And then for him to end up with this like goofy, happy stupor on his face, I really, and so I Googled it, I was like, what kills Bernie in Weekend at Bernie's? And they just say it's a fatal overdose. Of what?
Well, if I'm correct, and again, I've never been around people who've overdosed, don't they kind of foam? It's a violent act when you overdose, right? It's not pretty.
It just depends on what the medication is, but
I thought it was heroin, or was it?
My guess is this is some sort of
That's what
narcotic
they planted on him.
or opioid medication is heroin, but even then, they shot it in his muscle, not his vein. And so it would take minutes. It wouldn't be an instantaneous as, the theatrical version of this. But I have found people overdosing. I actually was at work about a year ago, and I was walking from the cafeteria back to my department, and some woman screaming from the public bathroom that they have in the waiting room. And there was a girl in a bathroom stall with no shirt on, with a tourniquet and a needle hanging out of her arm.
Ugh.
A lot of patients that get denied medication in the ER will then, when they get discharged, go shoot up in the bathroom. And it'll have been several hours, so they'll dope up more. But we had to drag her out from under the stall and start CPR on her. But she was just blue. Like, she wasn't foaming at the mouth, but your mouth turns this cyanotic color where you're just gray. It is not smiling like that. And it's very, very clear that she's dead.
Yeah, right about now, Christian's sitting there like, woo, this is a good $100 I just spent. This is a happy romp down memory lane.
She lived. I slammed some Narcan in her arm, and that works as fast as Bernie died in this film. So
it has to be some sort of miracle drug that not only puts a smile on your face and kills you instantaneously, but then also slows the decomposition of your body when you die, to the point to where you can be buried and come back for the sequel.
Big D had addressed the stages of decomposition in a previous film that we reviewed. But needless to say, Bernie would have gone through rigor mortis, possibly, well, we'll see later, passively fucking Tina. He'd be stinking up the place, not to mention his skin would have sloughed off in the scenes when he's in the ocean. And then he's eventually shot.
Wait. Give us a timeline. Like, how long is rigor mortis? When does that kick in?
Without Googling it, I would say you have a couple hours. I want to say it's like 2 to 4 hours before rigor mortis kicks in. And then rigor mortis lasts a period of time. And then they phase out of that where they're then malleable again.
Okay.
But right away, he wouldn't be smiling. His face would be blue. I mean, his eyes would be open. I've seen hundreds of dead bodies, and I've pulled back a curtain in a hospital room to a patient that was previously alive. And the second you see them, they're like, he is fucking dead. Like, dead. So I've never mistaken a living person for dead or a dead person for living. You just know they're fucking dead.
So this movie works, as ridiculous as I think it is, and the plot is a one note, hour and a half SNL sketch at its best. It only works. It's a ridiculous plot premise. It works because of Lomax. Terry Kisser's, his performance of Bernie Lomax, it's legendary. I could have watched him just sitting on the couch, the smile on his face, and I'm like, where do I know him? If you're a kid who grew up in the 80s, I guarantee you've seen him. He was on The Golden Girls, one of my favorites, LA Law, Hunter, Murder, She Wrote, Knight Rider, The Fall Guy, Magnum P.I., Hill Street Blues, Chips, Different Strokes, Hawaii Five-0, The Bionic Woman, The $6 Million Man. He is great. I wanted more of him and less of the duo.
You mean to tell me that Burt Reynolds was not in any of those that you just listed?
Oh, he could have been. I thought, wasn't Burt Reynolds the Magnum PI? In your world, he was.
It's Terry Kaiser. It's like Kaiser, not Kiser. Kaiser.
Okay.
All right.
We're going to have a list of
we're going to have
names
people that are
Big
going to
D
write
can
in and be
never
like,
say.
it's not Kisser. Yeah. Remember Game of Thrones? Anyway, Terry Kaiser is much better when he doesn't speak. He sounds like the voice they dub over Kung Fu movies with American dialogue. However, I will agree with you. Terry Kaiser is the 80s Andy Serkis, right? Like his expressions on his face and his body are so magnificent that you're right, Big D, without a performance that he puts. In fact, I don't know if he was nominated for a Golden Globe or an Oscar or some sort of lead actor or at a supporting role or something like that. There was people that wanted him.
Yeah, I want to say, Gene and Kerri were raving about Johnny Depp and Edward Scissorhands, about how it was a compelling role and how he did so much with so little. Bullshit.
Kaiser over Depp any day.
Oh, Terry Kaiser's performance as a dead guy sitting on the couch, far better than Johnny Depp as Edward Scissorhands.
Right.
Amazing.
Yeah, the problem that I have though with Bernie is like, why do you go straight to murder? Like Richard and Larry just seem excited to be on a boat.
He could have just fired them.
Not only, no. He could have just bought them off. He's like, guys, how about I give you guys big bonuses?
Oh.
And then, we never talk about this again. He could have just brought them in.
No, you don't bring these two knucklehead idiots in. You're asking to get caught. You don't leave anybody alive who knows what you're doing. It's easy to kill these two guys and frame them up for some homosexual sex change love triangle gone wrong. It works.
But like, have you guys ever, like Big D, again, you grew up in New York. Have you ever been to the Hamptons? Is party life really like that?
Well, I'm going to tell you that not in the Hamptons when I was growing up, but I have experienced this lifestyle in Florida. When I first moved here, out of the Army, I had a group of friends. We were all young, partying, and we somehow befriended this guy, much like Bernie, older guy, wealthy. He had a 57-foot Carver yacht, and he would always take it out, and we'd go on the boat. And kind of the thing was, I know he didn't like us because we were these, because of our intellect. We were just a young group of good-looking guys and girls, and he liked having the young girls on the boat. So he would do these little weekend excursions. We'd get on the yacht. We would go down the east coast of Florida into the Caribbean. There was always naked girls, naked guys. There was partying, tons of drugs on the boat. It was like this. And as ridiculous as it sounds, where the people were walking in and out of the house, that shit happens. There'd be people passed out naked, people having sex, and people were just oblivious to it. That lifestyle exists. And we could have somebody dead on the boat, and I don't know that I would have noticed.
Is this the same group of friends where you all got your asses kicked on the subway?
No, that was college. No.
Oh, okay.
No, this was wild.
Yeah, this is why people buy boats.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
This is why, boat life is completely different. Like when you're out on the water, maritime laws apply, especially in situations where you have a 57-foot Voyager Carver. Because I guess the move is when you have a boat, you go out far enough and then you're like, listen, either it's going to happen, either you're going to get naked or you're swimming, right? Like it's kind of like, it's like, that's what these people do who have these type of boats in these parties, right? Big D?
It's amazing what a 57-foot yacht will do to a young woman's libido and inhibition. It's the greatest aphrodisiac I've ever seen.
I would definitely carry around his dead, decomposing body to spend a weekend in that fucking house. That house was amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's because the house comes along with every 80s character tropes. Like when that party first comes in and everyone's coming up to Bernie who's dead and people don't realize it. You have the first is the woman in the most 80s bikini where she's got like the really high waist bikini bottoms and the jazzercise socks and shoes on. You have the Italian mobsters. You have the drunk friends of Gwen's father who went to Harvard and thinks that she's all grown up and she come by the tennis. So I'll give you free tennis lessons. I went to school with her father at Harvard. Like those are the kind of people that you would expect, I guess, live this type of lifestyle.
I think they're typical, character archetypes, but I don't think they're tropes. I think you're getting that term confused. Yes, these are
ridiculous.
Yeah, these are the typical. I would expect them at Bernie's house because it's a predictable movie, so they are predictable.
Later that night, Tina arrives at the house and has Larry and Richard direct her to Bernie. There, she also fails to realize he is dead, and at that moment, Marty, one of Vito's mobsters, witnesses Tina apparently making love to Bernie. Fooled into thinking that Bernie's assassination failed, he notifies Vito. The next morning, Richard is appalled to find that Larry's furthering the illusion of Bernie being alive by manipulating his body's limbs. Richard attempts to call the police, but instead activates the phone message detailing Bernie's plot against them. Unaware of the circumstances of Bernie's death, they mistakenly believe they are still the targets of a mob hit and decide to use Bernie's corpse as a prop for protection. Richard and Larry make various attempts to leave the island, and all attempts are thwarted as they repeatedly misplace and recover Bernie's body. Finally, Larry and Richard are forced to return to Bernie's home. Meanwhile, Paulie, unhinged by his apparent failure to kill Bernie, also returns to the island.
So, did Tina fuck a corpse?
Oh, yeah.
How soon does rigor mortis take over? You said 2 hours, 3 hours? Like, does that affect the genitalia?
Okay, so Tina comes to argue with Bernie and then ends up having sex with him. And then she comes out and claims it's the best sex they've ever had, like, never been better. And he was fucking dead. So the timeline is a little iffy here. Like, I don't know how long he's actually been dead. It doesn't really lead us in, like, maybe a couple hours, an afternoon. But Big D asked me, I think, in a message if you can get a boner after you're dead. Did you ask me that?
I believe I used the term erection, boner.
Okay.
You can get a boner.
Erection. I did not write boner.
So two things. This could have been the window of time where rigor mortis had set in, but also I think I was telling you that when a patient dies, we have to give them a full bath. Like, first of all, when a patient dies, they pretty much defecate and urinate themselves. And then over time, other things will start to leak out of them. But we give them, it's just policy that you give them a full bath and then, you get them cleaned up and you roll them into a body bag and you zip them up and you wait for a morgue to come pick them up. So if your hospital has a morgue, the security guards will just come and wheel the patient down. But if the patient's family members have a specific mortuary that they want them to go to, that company will come and get them. And so they just wait in the room that they were in. And there's been times like several hours later, I've needed to get something from the room and there's just like a pitched tent in a body bag.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that could happen. Nobody tells you that in fucking nursing school. I'm like, I just walked in. I'm so embarrassed on a dead guy's boner.
But I'm feeling like that was a lost opportunity. We don't get to see it. We see the hitman's reaction to it. So you're like, did he have sex? Let us see it. Have the camera pan around and see the silhouette of Tina on top of Bernie riding him. The shock value.
God,
I would have laughed out loud. That's better than puppet Bernie.
I was shocked enough when Larry's like, how do you like that? The guy gets laid more dead than I do alive.
Yes.
I'm like, are they giggling over necrophilia?
Yeah.
This is PG-13.
Mm-hmm. They should at least feel guilty. Forget about Bernie. Bernie's dead. He was going to kill him. They just tricked Tina into fucking a dead guy. She's going to need therapy when she finds out.
Never been better.
Yeah, it was really good sex. But how bad do you think Bernie was when he was alive having sex? If all you do is just lay there. Like, that's my move. When I really want to pleasure a girl, I just lay on my back and I let them do their business.
And they're probably hoping you were dead like Bernie too.
Well, they also don't make me, they also don't want me to have eye contact.
But they're overusing this one gag. We get it. It works. Bernie, he's dead. Bernie's dead. But How many times do they have to set him up? They're going to make him into like this puppet. We're going to animate him. We're going to have him go back and forth. Then we're going to stare at each other really quick when somebody almost catches us. Then we're going to lose the body. We're going to find the body, clean it up, and then start animating it again. It's desperate. We got it. For God's sake, there's a slow speed golf cart chase in this movie on a bike path. And then a 3-legged race to the boat with Bernie. They started running out of material and it started to feel desperate.
No, this is when I started laughing. When he's playing fucking checkers or chess
love
with
it.
him, and he has
So
his
good.
arm just.
Monopoly.
No, it's Monopoly.
Oh, okay. So either way. And then he has his arm attached to the umbrella and he just has Bernie wave. When they fucking staple gun the toupee back onto his head, and when they do tie the shoes and they do like this 3-man shuffle to the boat, that's when I really start laughing. You know that toupee getting stapled was cut from the version that was released in Germany because they thought it was like way too graphic.
That was too graphic?
Crying, laughing.
That was
Not
too graphic?
Tina fucking a dead dude, but getting a toupee stapled to his skull was like too much for them.
But like, listen, I find it creative because I'm gonna have to disagree with you, BT. The movie really gets going for me, and I start laughing. I agree with Kerri here when they start finding ways to do different things with the dead body. The playing Monopoly, attaching Bernie's arm to the umbrella, I thought that was pretty creative. But when they go on the boat and they're trying to leave the island after they don't make the ferry, that was the best scene to me. I remember laughing when I was a kid. It was my stepmother, my father, myself. I think we were eating pizza. It might have been from Pizza Hut. Who knows? But I remember watching this and laughing out loud. To this day, I watch that scene where Bernie's being dragged by the boat and he keeps hitting the markers, the buoys. Phenomenal.
I would expect you to like that because you've seen it before. They just cut it directly out of the middle of Caddyshack. When Judge Smales is out on his yacht, it's a straight ripoff. You got the yacht coming at the little boat with the two guys in the rowboat, the two fishermen. There's the whole anchor gag. We've seen it. It's the exact same movie. And you see like homages to Indiana Jones in like movies that just don't have it. Here, you let it go. We get it. You don't know how to drive a boat, but your whole goal is to get back to Long Island. Why are you driving around? You don't pay attention that Bernie's bodyboarding behind the boat, bang, 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 hitting the mile markers. You don't get that? And then they just...
What's that sound?
Yeah. Guess what? Again. You've lost Bernie's body about 4 times. Pay attention to Bernie. But then they just cap it off by using his bloated body as a flotation device. God.
Hey, that could actually happen, though.
I know it could.
That's actually the most. Yeah, that's great.
But at this point, all of his skin would have completely sloughed off.
Yeah.
But you know what? It reminded me. I when they are trying to drive the boat away that's tied up. Until my newest car, had driven a 35-year-old Volkswagen, and so I was used to driving. You know, that kind of like old school, you have 4 gears, nothing's electronic, there's no dash displays. And then I bought my Toyota Yaris, and the first day I got it, I was driving out of town. I drove up the mountain to northern Arizona and back down, and I was like, damn, I didn't test drive this car. Like, I can't get it to go above 65. I'm going uphill like, and I'd always driven a manual. I'd never driven an automatic car.
Oh, no.
And I got home, and my ex-husband was like, you're in 3rd gear. Like, I drove 300 miles round trip 3rd gear. And I just thought I would be doing that to the boat. I'd be trying to take off while the boat is literally still tied to the dock. So,
I can see that poor fucking car.
Yeah. Do you still have the vehicle?
No.
Yep, going strong.
You do?
No, it is.
What kind of car is that? Please do a little advertising.
Toyota Yaris.
Oh,
10 years old.
Wow.
It's amazing. It's the best car ever.
No, that's like 30 years on a normal driver. That 10 years with you.
Right.
But wouldn't this be better? You remember in American Gods, Laura Moon, when she dies and she's reanimated, she's a corpse. She starts to smell. She has to do the makeup. The movie would have been so much better if they were finding creative ways to start to hide the fact that Bernie's flesh is coming off. They got to put makeup on him. They got to drain him. They're doing things to hide the fact. They're hanging like those little pine tree air fresheners. Do shit like that.
I think then the movie would be called Swiss Army Man, and it would star Daniel Radcliffe in 2006 in his 2016 vehicle. No, this movie is a comedy first and foremost, and it needs to be a comedy. I think at some point they do make a reference to like, oh, he's getting a little like he's starting to peel. The whole movie takes apparently over the course of 24 hours or 48 hours, so it's not a long period of time. Although we do know in real life, this probably, we would probably need to cover up his stuff. But like, again, they don't try to go too far into the science of things, because what's more funny are the small funny parts, like Larry lifting Bernie's head above the couch. You know what I mean? Like when Bernie's just like reacting to things. I think it was great. It was like his own little Muppet. I thought it was great. Or they're vacuuming him, I thought it was classic. Or the kid constantly burying him, flicking off Larry and Richard, telling him, how'd you like to kiss this? That kid is great. This movie's fantastic. I fucking love it. Thank you, Christian. You're my favorite ever. Well, at the house, Gwen confronts Larry and Richard, who confess that Bernie has been dead since their arrival. Paulie then appears and opens fire at Bernie, and then turns his attention to Larry, Richard, and Gwen. Chasing after the trio, Paulie corners Larry, who clumsily manages to subdue him with a phone cord and a punch. The police eventually arrive and place Paulie under arrest, taking him alive in a straitjacket as he continues to insist Bernie is still alive. Bernie is loaded into an ambulance. However, his gurney rolls away and topples off the boardwalk, dumping him onto the beach right behind Richard, Larry, and Gwen, who run away after noticing him. Eventually, that young boy comes along and starts to play with Bernie, scooping buckets of sand over his body. End movie.
So again, with the realistic body, decomposition, he was shot 6 times. And that would have released all the foul, rotting insides. But then it's not, they're still dragging him around. It's not until the end scene when they're sitting on the beach and Bernie rolls down the hill and reappears behind them before they all jump up and get grossed out. Like, they were literally carrying this man's dead body around, but now they're grossed out.
So, as ridiculous as I said the premise was, there was a real world example of something like this happening. And I want you guys to determine whether these are awesome friends or just sick fucks. So in 2011...
awesome friends or sick fucks?
Yeah.
It's the new hottest game we're playing at Shat The Movies.
It's an A or B.
That's what I refer to you guys when I'm not on the pod.
They're awesome friends, but they're also sick fucks.
Sick fucks. So in 2011, 2 men, Robert Young and Mark Rubinson, found their friend, Jeffrey Jarrett, unresponsive at his home. And instead of calling 911, they took him out for a night of fun, all paid for on Jarrett's credit card. After putting his body back where they found it, they visited a strip club where they used Jarrett's credit card to take out $400 from an ATM. The would-be Jonathan Silver and Andrew McCarthy swore they didn't know their friend was dead at the time, but they both pled guilty and each were given 2 years of probation and community service. So if Gene dies tonight and the 3 of us decide to, dress him up, tie his shoes to our feet and do a little 3-legged race down to
or fuck him while rigor mortis is still,
or fuck him while he's there. Are we good friends because we're honoring Gene's legacy, or are we sick fucks?
No, I think it's very similar to what Christian does with his friends when he's on, out on the Toronto rave scene. I imagine we'd probably do something like that. I don't know. I've never seen Gene get so wasted to where he like passes out and people draw like dicks on his face. Like
No, I'm asking.
Gene is the kind of guy when you party with him.
He's dead.
I'm asking.
He'll
listen,
never be in a situation.
Yes.
Like that.
Okay. Just whatever. Yeah. Gene has a heart attack. Gene just dies. We find him and we want to honor his legacy. Yeah. Do we sit him up and record like a podcast with him? Do we put him in a chair and film like a fireplace in the background as he's sitting there? What do we do with him?
Do we take $400 out of his account? You only get 2 years probation.
Yeah.
Community service.
Yeah. No, I think we'd pull was it Ed Gein? Who's the guy who was the serial killer that propped up his mom in the house?
I don't know.
Was that Ed Gein? I think that was Ed Gein. Yeah, he was the inspiration for Psycho, Ed Gein. Yeah, so we'd probably just set him up in front of a podcast microphone so that we can still carry on the trio. And then as the gases release from his body, as it slowly decomposes, we'll be like, oh, good insight, Gene.
Yes.
Because people just love
Gene.
People love the original trio. Yeah, exactly.
So this entire movie, I kept waiting for Bernie to get up and start dancing. And I was disappointed to get to the end of the film and actually find out that that all takes place in the sequel, meaning that not only did I think Burt Reynolds was the dead body, but I somehow combined the two movies into one. And I thought that the entire time he was reanimated by voodoo. And so that's the sequel. Has anyone seen the sequel?
I've seen it. It's terrible. Don't watch the sequel. It's a money grab.
Wait, the fact that Roger just said he hates it, I got to go watch it now. It's probably dynamite. It's probably good.
Larry and Richard, they go back to New York, and then I guess the insurance company is saying that they're responsible for the theft of the $2 million and they're fired. And then they find out that Bernie had somehow hid it in the Virgin Islands. So they go to the Virgin Islands where the cartel then hires a voodoo queen to steal Bernie's body and raise it from the dead to leave them the money. But unfortunately, they goofed, and Bernie can only be animated.
Keep going.
When he hears music.
Does this song reanimate him?
No.
Is this the song that reanimates him?
I don't remember what the song is. I feel like it should be like Oingo Boingo's Dead Man's Party or something. I think it's more voodoo-y.
It's definitely something voodoo-y. Yeah, it's very voodoo-y.
But
it's
it
really
started
bad. It's like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds like a great movie.
Yeah. Actually, if you've ever done any history, if you've ever learned anything about, seriously, if you've ever gone, if you've ever listened to or read any books or watched a documentary on actual voodoo practices, in the island nation of Santo Domingo, which has the Dominican Republic and Haiti, where this comes from, it was evil, greedy plantation owners that would give drugs or psychedelic drugs that would slow the breathing down and almost put their plantation workers in a zombie-like status to where they would only do one thing, which is like, pick tobacco and things like that. It's really bad, but yeah, that's the power of the voodoo.
Yeah, you just saw Serpent in the Rainbow. Tell the truth.
Oh, that's a good one.
It is a good one.
Serpent
That scared
Rainbow
the shit out of me.
It's a great one.
Yeah.
I will say that the gag runs a little long. This movie could have been done a little sooner than what it was. Tying it with a telephone cord kind of makes it's a goofy 80s movie. I mean, it's satire, it's slapstick comedy. It's
listen,
it's silly.
It's par for the course.
But it does have a feel good ending. I like it. I thought it was great.
Listen, it makes sense. This mob hitman, at the end, he's getting choked out by the corpse of Bernie.
I love it. I think it's great. Bernie gets him in the end.
I just like to think of all the movies that Raj has been like, I hate it. It sucks. I hate it. I feel like he stops watching halfway through when he hates a movie, but this is the magical masterpiece that has gripped his attention. Is this going to be fucking Zero Wipes? I can't.
No.
No, it's not. It's not a Zero Wipe movie. I'm not crazy, guys. I just know good movies.
Only Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a Zero Wipe movie.
It's dark and it follows the comic book. Listen, go out there and see. I know we do 80s and 90s movies, but I can't say this. I can't evangelize this movie enough. If you haven't seen Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, it's the best movie to come out in 2 years. It's fantastic.
I'm going to start doing it right now. Every time Roger says a movie is the best, I'm going to add it to a list. So this is the first one.
And then we're never going to watch those movies.
Weekend at Bernie's.
You should definitely watch
and
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
It just won Golden Globe for the best animated feature. Go watch it.
Yeah, it's the best movie, is what you just said.
It is the best movie. It is the best movie, even though it just happens to be animated. Now's the time of the podcast where we break out our Shat meter and give you our wipe scores. If you've never listened to the podcast before, Zero Wipes is a perfect movie. It's like while you're still alive and you haven't, and your body isn't decomposing, where you just go into the bathroom, you do your business, you come out, everything's clean. You don't even need to wipe. It's wonderful. It's perfect. It's magical. 5 wipes is the equivalent of being a dead body and your corpse ridden on by 2 knuckleheads from New York City through the ocean. And then afterwards, a mob person shoots you and all your inside gases and stuff just come billowing out of you. It's just disgusting. It's gross. It's 5 wipes. So 0 wipes is good. 5 wipes is bad. That being said, we'll start with you, Kerri. How many wipes do you give this movie, Weekend at Bernie's?
So the lighthearted and inconsequential attitude that the writers give death is just so bizarre to me. I guess for someone that works in the healthcare industry and sees people actually die, it was very hard for me to see it as funny, but they do make it funny. Unfortunately, it's just a one joke movie, but it has a great duo. I think Terry Kaiser is a brilliant dead person. Like his uncanny ability to play off a stiff corpse for nearly the whole film is truly revolutionary, Oscar worthy even. And there are times that his performance as a dead person is more lively than anyone playing an actual living character in this film. And it's not terribly long. The romantic side story to this isn't obnoxious or overbearing, but it's still only as good as an average movie. So I'm going to give it 2.5 wipes.
That's fair.
It would have been a 5-wipe movie if they had gone with the original duo that they had considered, which were the Coreys. And I'll just say, thank God that they stuck to these two guys, because I could not even imagine how awful that would be to sit through.
Big D, how many wipes do you give this movie?
So even though I've been kind of harsh on the movie, you knew what it was you were walking into. You were walking into Pizza Hut. You were ordering a large meat lover's pizza, some breadsticks. You weren't expecting it to be filet mignon. So I'm not going to treat this like it was. Just like that Pizza Hut meal, it's going to make you a little sick, but it's not fine dining. Is the movie great? No. At best, it's a 90-minute SNL skit stretched out too long. It's like one of the movies that they turned into, whether it was, Night at the Roxbury. It was too long. It was a one-note, one-trick pony film, and it boiled down to a memorable trailer and poster. If you see it, you get it instantly. It's like the Ghostbusters logo. And if you're sitting there thinking, no, Weekend at Bernie's is great, trust me, you are fondly remembering the trailer. It's not the actual movie. So I think the advertising did a great job. All the marketing material in the commercials turned out to be more memorable than the movie itself. But Terry Kaiser, great corpse. I would love to party with him. I originally wanted to give the movie the same score that Richard gives Bernie when he falls off of the deck, an 8.3, but I can't in good conscience do that. I think this is, I'm going to round it. It's a 4-wipe movie. It's not the worst. I'm going to go through. I'll be fair. It's a 3.75. That's what I was going to give it. I wish it was 5-10 minutes shorter. If it was on in the background, it's not terrible. It's not the worst, but it's not great either. Just watch the trailer, listen to Hot and Cold, and eat some coconut shrimp.
I think you're crazy. This movie is tight. Its pacing is good. Concept does run a bit thin. However, for a silly, inconsequential slapstick comedy, it excels in most regards. It's an iconic movie that, while also a time capsule for the era, I think still holds up. It was enjoyable rewatching. Maybe I had a little bit of nostalgia glasses on while watching it, but Weekend at Bernie's, the first one at least, is a solid movie. There's some very good laugh out loud moments that even in a world where, today something like this would be would have to be an art film that, Harry Potter would have to be in for, it would have to be so over the top that people wouldn't get it. And there would have to be fart jokes in it. This movie works. This is the only movie that I think you can do something like this in. So Christian, I applaud you. Thank you so much for your commission. This is it's not a perfect movie, but it's 1.5 wipes. I think it's better than average, especially for the comedies at the time. And you can't make a movie like this again. I thought the jokes were good. Andrew McCarthy and Jonathan Silverman are fantastic in it. Terry Kaiser is amazing. Catherine Mary Stewart, beautifully cast. Love her, super attractive. And I bought their love. I bought their love connection there. They had a little bit of good chemistry there. So that being said, 1.5 from me, 2.5 from Kerri, 3.75 from Big D. We add that all up. We divide by 3. How many wipes does that give us, Big D?
So that comes out to a Shat average of 2.58. And
nice.
This is movie number 98. So that puts it in the 53 spot. It is worse than Halloween and The Fifth Element. It is better than Top Gun and Pretty Woman.
Yeah.
How did that happen? No, I mean, I think 2.58 is fair. It's an average movie, but better than Top Gun?
Yeah, it's better than Top Gun.
You gave Top Gun
I had
a 3.5.
more fun. Yeah, Top Gun's a terrible movie filled with horrible acting and bad dialogue. This movie is tight.
What's better, this or Ghostbusters?
Oh, Ghostbusters is better than this.
Yeah, you gave that a 2-white movie. Way to stay consistent.
Really?
Yep.
I gave Ghostbusters 2 wipes?
That you did, buddy.
I was probably drunk.
I was listening to Pretty Woman today at the dentist, and you gave that 3 wipes.
Pretty Woman's a terrible movie.
No, it's not.
3 wipes
Pretty
isn't
Woman?
a terrible score.
Yeah, it's worse than average.
Listen, as Roger's aged, we're near movie 100, Roger no longer does the 3, 2.5 range. Everything is either a 1 or a 5. That's it.
That's not true.
In his
So
old
you're saying
age,
I've gotten more polarized? Like
yes,
my parents?
100%. It's either a stupid movie, I don't get it, or this is brilliant, this is tight. There's no longer, it's an average film.
I don't think that's true.
I'm gonna just test it right now. Jingle All the Way for you, a 5. Another movie, Groundhog's Day, 0. Last Boy Scout, 5. Tron, 4.5. Beetlejuice, 0.5. You're either hot or cold, just like the song.
Some like it hot, some like it cold. What can I say? Well, now's the time of the podcast where we tell you what movie we're doing next. Big D, what movie are we doing next?
Oh, so next movie is a milestone for the podcast. It will be movie number 100.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. I mean, I told you I wanted to quit the podcast after like the second episode.
Wait, didn't you just say this was 98?
Yeah, I got it wrong. It's 99. It's because we're a couple behind, so I get confused. Like today, The Crow launched, and I think The Crow then is 97. Then also there's, what did we record? Then we recorded The Burbs. Yeah, so this is 99. It's a little complex because we're coming from the future. So it will be movie 100. On Twitter, we put it out there. On Facebook, on Instagram, we solicited some suggestions from the listeners, because as a milestone movie, this needs to be something that's epic, memorable. The movie that was up for it was the voting category, The Two Coreys, and there's no way we're making movie 100 a Two Coreys film. So stay to the trailer and hear what is the epic movie that deserves to be number 100 for Shat The Movies.
That concludes this week's episode of Shat The Movies. Be sure to follow us on social media and share with a friend. We're everywhere on Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram. Just follow @Shat The Movies. You can also find us on Facebook. Just search for Shat The Movies Podcast. Please share our episodes. It's, again, how we help the podcast grow. You can check out our backlog of movies, as well as vote for upcoming categories on our website, shatthemovies.com. And if you have a commission or you want to suggest a movie, you can click our donate now button somewhere on our website, commission that movie, or you can send us an email at hosts@shatthemovies.com. We're everywhere fine podcasts can be found, including iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, YouTube, iHeartRadio. And if you stop by any of those distribution channels, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And if you go on iTunes, leave a 5-star review. That helps the podcast grow. You can also check out our sister podcast, Shat on TV, where we review television series such as Westworld, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, and True Detective. You can check out all the information on our website, shatontv.com. On behalf of my co-hosts, Big D, Dick Ebert, and Kerri, Tawny Gross, I'm Roger Roeper. Be sure to join us next week for our 100th episode of Shat the Movies. Thank you so much for listening. Take care. Good night and good luck.
We are a rescue team, not assassins. Now, what do we gotta do?
In a part of the world where there are no rules.
We pick up their trailer with a chopper, run them down, grab those hostages before anybody knows we were there. What do you mean we?
Deep in the jungle, where nothing that lives is safe.
You lose it here, you're in a world of hurt.
Showtime, kid. Knock, knock.
An elite rescue squad
You're bleeding, man. I ain't got time to bleed.
is being led by the ultimate warrior.
We need the best. That's why you're here.
But now,
What's got Billy so spooked?
there's something out there waiting for us. And it ain't no man. They're up against the ultimate enemy.
Holy Mother of God.
Nothing like it has ever been on Earth before.
She says the jungle just came alive and took him.
We cannot see it.
No blood, no bodies. We hit nothing.
But it sees the heat of our bodies and the heat of our fear.
Whatever it is out there, it killed Hopper. And now it wants us.
It kills for pleasure.
He was skinned alive.
It hunts for sport.
It's killing us one at a time.
We're all gonna die.
But this time, it's picked the wrong man to hunt.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
20th Century Fox presents Arnold Schwarzenegger. Predator. The hunt begins Friday, June 12th at theaters everywhere.